right, so we've got to talk about SpaceX as basically this is peak bubble action, and then the question is, will this drag down the entire market? This is your headline: SpaceX rises 4%, okay, to leapfrog Amazon in market cap, closes short of Microsoft. And in fact, if you were watching the markets earlier today, it passed Microsoft. I was seeing headlines, oh my God, SpaceX is now worth more than Microsoft. It's pretty crazy. I mean, if you look at the chart here, and this is like the biggest companies in the world by market cap. So Nvidia is at the top at 5 trillion. Then you got Google, Alphabet, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and then right now at number 6, SpaceX, which is insane. Considering that, you know, all these companies in the world, basically except for SpaceX, actually make money. SpaceX loses money, and we're somehow valuing this thing at what, 2.6 trillion at the moment. So this is really volatile. I mean, it went up about 4 or 5-ish% today, but it can go down 4 or 5-ish% tomorrow, etc. And then the question that everyone keeps asking is, who are the big players shorting it? What's going on with that? Michael Burry says he's tempted to bet against SpaceX, but passes on expensive options, talking about options trades. So I don't think you can actually short the thing at the moment. There's just not that many stocks out there to borrow if you do want to short it. And then options trades just started trading, so there's a premium for that. But give it some time. I wouldn't be shocked if Michael Burry, you know, secretly is doing something, because people are tweeting this kind of stuff out. And this just gives you an idea how overvalued SpaceX is. Since the SpaceX IPO is at 135, equaled about 100 times in 2025 sales, its 50% price increase over the first 2 days of trading resulted in now trading at about 150 times his price of sales. And the reason why they talk about price of sales is because SpaceX is losing money, so there is no PE ratio. Basically, it is crazily overvalued. So it was overvalued at IPO, and even a couple days later, it's even more so. Someone writes here, the backroom financial engineering happening right now to help longtime SpaceX holders cash out anywhere near current SpaceX prices must be wild. And from my understanding of it, I was looking everywhere, I think the first major lockup period ends maybe somewhere in August. So this wild craziness could theoretically go on for another month or so. We'll see. But this is what we're watching, because today is actually interesting. It cooled off. So it opened up. It was like peaking around 224, 225 or something like that. Currently trading at 200, right? 205. I mean, it's really volatile still. So it does show this isn't, how can I say, it is going up, but not necessarily like straight to the moon. There seems to be some cooling off. You can see it there.
For me, on a personal level, and I say this as someone, I think I understand this business very well, like better than, you know, most investors, better than almost any investor. I am personally going to hold my shares in this company forever. Like, quite literally. I think that, and sure, there are some things that could change politically, or, you know, in the macro 10 years from now, but this is the biggest vision, the biggest mission of any company in history, going after the biggest markets of any company in history with the biggest moat.
So this is one of the king pumpers on Wall Street for Elon Musk companies, and if you look at his language, he was talking about me personally, right? Not the fund, but me personally. And you've heard this from other people on Wall Street also, where they'll claim like how awesome they're going to support it, etc. And if you're just casually listening, you won't realize they're talking about his own personal thing, and again, not the fund. So that's where the big thing stands out there. Other people on Wall Street are trying to pump this up, basically trying to sell it to you. Here's Bill Ackman. He says, one of the things that makes SpaceX so valuable is how valuable it is. That's actually a sentence. One of the things that makes SpaceX so valuable is how valuable it is. Okay. The Cursor acquisition costs materially less in dilution because of SpaceX high valuation. So basically they acquired a company via stock, not cash. SpaceX ability to do economically, strategically, and technologically accretive acquisitions is an important component of its value. There is enormous value inherent to a company with high value. First he says it's so valuable because it's valuable. Now he says it has value because it has value, right? The enormous value inherent to a company with high value, particularly when it's controlled by an entrepreneur that the most talented people want to work for and partner with. Value begets value, talent begets talent. I would question the most talented people thing because actually a lot of people are leaving Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is also firing people. So there's that. But remember, the only people who are really pumping this up are Wall Street people who are trying to sell you stuff. Exactly. This is also another person who says, I've been a professional trader for 28 years, and I've never seen anything like this. SpaceX is the most incredible IPO we've ever witnessed and probably ever will witness. Now, that actually might be true. That actually might be true. This could be the craziest thing we've ever seen in history. That might be true. It has pumped almost 2x since launch and isn't showing any signs of slowing down. The secret to knowing what happens next is simple. Everyone is saying it's pumping too fast or it's way too high. It will dump soon. And in the trading group, the group consensus is always wrong. Okay. Think about it. So here's the reason why you should buy it. Space is infinite. Okay. Therefore, the potential growth for SpaceX is also infinite. Okay. Only high IQ people can comprehend the potential SpaceX has as a company. All the other low IQ morons will wait for a better entry and miss out on the most obvious public offering in the history of financial assets. This is a legitimate IQ test, and your bloodline depends on you passing it. So again, this is what peak bubble looks like when we're putting whether or not you buy SpaceX as an IQ test. So I agree with that. And you can decide which side of the IQ you are on.
I think you're probably in the camp of people that think they can do this quickly. Where do you stand on your orbital data center outlook for SpaceX?
I stand incredibly bullish. Just incredibly bullish.
Shock. Yeah. I'm not surprised by that. Yeah.
But like I think it's rationally bullish. I think something that a lot of people are struggling with here is most people just never thought about what is a satellite, how do you build a satellite, what are the components of a satellite, what are the constraints around launching these satellites. And I think that people that have been following Starlink closely are very well positioned to assess.
Because you can extrapolate out on
So one thing I noticed, which is very interesting, is they've changed the language. Now they keep saying orbital data centers, right? Because before they were talking about data centers in space. That was sort of the way we talk about it. So they probably realized that people thought, man, this orbital space data center sounds stupid. Let's call it orbital data center. Maybe that sounds a little bit more technical, more better. But I've definitely noticed a change in language of them trying to market it to you.
Both the economics, but also the engineering and physics.
Exactly. The orbital compute satellites are very similar in many, many ways to Starlink satellites.
And he changed language again to orbital compute satellites opposed to space data centers. So these guys are well aware that space data center sounds bad, but also well aware that people don't like data centers, so that's why they're changing the language.
Like, I truly believe, and Elon said this last week in a video on orbital compute, that the intrinsic complexity of making a Starlink satellite is probably a little bit greater than an orbital compute satellite. So I know this sounds kind of crazy, but Starlink is on the satellites themselves. Starlink satellites are more complicated than orbital compute satellites. That said, orbital compute satellites are bigger. For them to make sense, they have to be much bigger. You basically want to put a whole server rack in space. Just in terms of doing inference on a model, you kind of need a minimum size for it to be useful. And you can't launch these bigger satellites unless you have Starship. So almost all of the difficulty of orbital compute satellites is in Starship.
He's trying to make the case, and he's playing a lot of word games here, right? So if you're just a layperson, you just fall for whatever crap that he says. But the word games are basically the satellite itself, Starlink, is more complicated than the satellite itself of the space data centers, right? But then he goes on to talk a little about truth, but the space data center, basically the orbital satellite, as he calls it, or compute satellite, remember he's trying to change the words on you, is going to be bigger, right? So to cool these things, the radiators basically have to be huge. And if you look at the space station, you know, the radiators that cool the thing are actually really massive. So that's actually a big deal. And then also then you're bringing in Starship, which makes it much more complicated to launch said things. So it's interesting, like the truth is in there, but he makes it very cryptic and tries to mask it and then try to make it seem like it's much easier than it is, but it's clearly not. And for those of you who are in science engineering, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what this Wall Street dude is selling you. I always love comments from our community, so please share. I'd love to hear that.
Any rational analysis has SpaceX probably at 800 billion or maybe even 300 billion, which it was valued at about 13 months ago, because it's never made money. It lost $5 billion last year. It's already lost $4 billion this year. It's only bringing in about $18 billion in revenue, and most of that is from Starlink, which is not a great business. It's not an AI business. So to believe it's worth $2.1 trillion, you have to give it the Elon Musk surplus and believe he's going to do all these things like build a colony on Mars, build data centers in space. And if you believe that, maybe he does deserve to be the world's first trillionaire.
Well, so if you believe that Elon Musk is going to Mars and we have 1 million people there, have at it. I guess he'll be worth a trilly. But this is the environment that we're in. U.S. and in Europe discuss access to AI models after Anthropic dispute. So basically, the Trump people were trying to block other countries and foreign nationals from using, advanced AI models. And then I'm thinking it's Lutnick, but you got Rubio, Bissett, and Lechman here. And they came up with this thing. It's the, quote, trusted partner scheme. Would allow U.S. allies to test cutting-edge models. So remember, these are the same people who tried to sell you the Trump Gold Card. So their latest deal is the trusted partner scheme. And I guess if you get in good with them and pay whatever dues or whatever, you can use our, quote, best stuff. But this comes at a time when other countries are just like, I don't want your best stuff. We're going to have our own stuff. France's spy agency replaces Palantir with local rival. And I think you're going to see a more decoupling from U.S. tech companies. And again, right, if you believe in Elon Musk or any of the U.S. tech stuff, if politically you're pissing off other markets and other countries around the world, it just the numbers don't add up anymore, right? And everything changes. So I think you're going to see more of these types of announcements. And regarding the French one, it's called Chaps Vision. I don't know who comes up with these names. France's domestic intelligence agency has cut its contract with Palantir and replaced it with local rival Chaps Vision. So it's like dude site, I guess another way to say it. Made a drive by European countries to reduce their dependence on U.S. tech firms. And then you got the issue of what is the Fed up to. The Fed is going to be less transparent, basically. Fed Chair Walsh expected to withhold dot plot, basically, from central bank's interest rate outlook. And then essentially then I think we're probably looking at no hikes, no cuts. At least that's the bet through next year, which is kind of crazy. So we were talking about hikes for a while, but now with the changes in Iran, maybe that bet is off and just hold for quite a while. So we'll see. So that's my thoughts on this. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.
Me getting past the gift of Apollo as a Wall Street trader and seeing what the next 3 to 5 years are going to be looking like. Let's talk about an apocalypse threat far greater than climate change. Have you seen the SpaceX valuation? It has surpassed Amazon. Whoo boy. Elon was the world's first trillionaire, now he's the world's first 1.4 trillionaire. Jesus Christ. 2.7 trillion evaluation. How is this legal? Dog, it's just trading on the stock market. Seems fair? Yeah. Despite Amazon turning a $78 billion profit, it's insane how we used to use companies like Amazon as the benchmark for like evil financialization, but in reality, Amazon was like the last tether to a real physical economy. Like, at least Amazon turns a profit. At least the money that Amazon makes is made by facilitating the sale of things. It is at least connected to the real world economy. But now, good lord. SpaceX has recently added new revenue streams in the form of compute leasing deals with Anthropic and Google, though, and the company's added $1 trillion to its valuation since going public on Friday. Woo! Woo! Amazon makes most of its money from AWS, but yes. Yeah, but at least, like, Amazon Web Services is also, like, a real thing, right? Like, it's not quite as real as, delivering HDMI cables to my door when I lose old ones, but it's still like in the ballpark of being real. It's a real thing, right? The internet infrastructure is like a physical thing that has to be built and maintained. Yeah, a service and a product. But now, I think the Wall Street bets attitude is mostly to blame. I don't think retail traders can even get in yet. No. It's not retail traders. Sorry, it's indices. The indices aren't even getting in yet. When are they? Is that tomorrow? When the indices are getting in? NASDAQ? Indices? Indexes. Right? The plural of index? Indices? 2 weeks after listing? That's right. They moved it back. It was 5 days and then they moved it back. Index, say.
See you, Bailey. I feel like we
usual, yeah. It's like I badge in, I badge out.
we are always seeing you, and we're lucky. SpaceX, of course, the largest IPO ever. I'm just curious from your view how you think market participants right now, Dave, should be looking at this in the context not just of other potential IPOs in the future, but really in the context of everything we're seeing out there right now. The talk of people taking money from other assets, selling that, getting into SpaceX. Just your view.
Yeah, I think, I mean, first of all, for somebody in the ECM world, what a time to be alive. Like these are great times for the markets. And I think unlike other cycles we've seen where IPO issuance has been extremely active, you have a real catalyst forming investment thesis behind this. This is the reindustrialization of America. We're creating new ecosystems, new economies. I mean, you think about what space could become, what AI could become.
You're such a fucking retard, dude. I hate these people so fucking much. It frustrates me to no end that these people, these like high priests of the market, don't even, like, they can't even be honest about what it is. They have to pretend, oh yeah, dude, that's the reason why SpaceX is going to the moon right now. It's from the fucking business fundamentals. Oh yeah, it's high profitability, man. Jesus Christ. Has no idea what he's even saying. Well, I mean, that's kind of the point of high priest, right? It's like they don't even know how to read Latin. Do you think he's being genuine or just saying whatever to get paid? I mean, he's on Bloomberg podcast. He's, I don't fucking know, dude.
These are investment theses that many people haven't been able to invest behind before, and so I think seeing this euphoria in the IPO market is warranted and appropriate.
What's the signal to the market and market participants specifically?
I think right now you're seeing that the IPO worked, and you saw Friday a very strong trading with the stock.
What's the signal? Money.
Finishing up 19% from the IPO price, and I think today you see broader markets rallying on the news with Iran peace treaty, and you're seeing just more enthusiasm coming in. So I think
SpaceX up another 15% today.
Exactly. So I think it's all systems go, to make a pun intended for SpaceX. But I think if there was any hesitancy,
you're saying economy, academia are delusional, priests are delusional. Your ESL posting a little bit, but what I'm saying is that the people hyping up SpaceX are not economists. Like, when you go on Bloomberg or Fox Business or CNBC, you are not getting the testimonials from economists. You are getting them from like middle managers, venture capitalists, and business owners. Like, those are the people who actually show. Like, look at this guy, head of equity from JP Morgan. Like, this guy's job is to hype up the market. He is literally, professionally, a market hype man. These people aren't economists.
Should I continue to buy up 20%? I think the answer is yes. And if you look long enough, there's this is a business that could be generationally transformational.
But thinking about the generational transformation, Dave, when I look at the pipeline or the kind of group of companies that could be coming public, they don't look like SpaceX. When you're meeting with people, maybe at your former employer, KKR, talking about something in their portfolio, a number of other private equity firms, what are they looking at? Obviously, this is a big one for IPO buyers. But does that translate to someone who owns, say, software companies or other companies in other industries?
Look, the mega IPOs are getting the headlines right now, but there's been a very active and very accommodative equity market in general throughout this year. And putting SpaceX aside, new issuance volumes are up almost 2x this time from last year, and the vast preponderance of that has been other sectors. And we've seen healthcare coming back. We've seen biotech issuance coming.
The bubble will definitely pop before 2027. Maybe. Look, we really don't. The old saying, markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. The market is being very irrational, but it is being backed up by, without exaggeration, the largest capital market in human history by like several orders of magnitude. Like there has never been this much money to throw around to keep a bubble afloat. Not even close. The dot-com bubble, not even close. Like the amount of money that is being pumped into this is obscene. It's ungodly. So I mean, like, will it be by 2027? I have no idea. Odds might be better than not. I'm not sure.
We're seeing industrial energy. So the markets are working at
But
large.
aren't all those themes still off of AI in some capacity? If the bottleneck is power and I'm a power company, then I at least have an AI pitch. Because when I look at it or talk to folks, it's kind of like your TAM is either infinite because you have AI behind it, or it's zero because your software, and the worry is that your kind of total market could be at risk. How do you think about kind of other industries and how that fits into that?
Yeah, I don't think the market is shut out for certain issuers. I think it does come down to price and having the right starting point in the public markets. And I think there is a bid for those other businesses. You mentioned sponsor-backed businesses. It's a good time to, what I would say, get the puck on the ice, start it. And, we always say when we're advising our clients and our issuers, proof points.
Lamau, the dot-com burst had the entire Canadian economy behind it, but you were correct. Yeah, but the entire Canadian economy in like 2001 or whatever is literally like a drop in the bucket of the modern American equity market. The modern American equity market is like an unimaginable leviathan. It's so like, yeah, what do you mean? The whole Canadian economy 25 years ago, what is that? Like a not even 100 of the current American capital market. I don't even know.
Public market are worth even
Canadian
more than in the private market, and so
equity
getting out
market,
there, starting it, and you can
2000.
see how your valuation can expand as you perform. You can get your share price to a level that you might be more interested in selling at, but getting started can be helpful.
What is it about this moment right now, Dave, that is compelling so many of these companies not just to go public, but also to look into going?
Okay, yeah, the total value of trading. Actually, okay, you know what? I'm going to give credit where it's due. The total volume of trading reached around 1 trillion Canadian back in 2000 in the TSE. But average daily trading was around 4 billion Canadian, which is nothing compared to now. So
public, and I am going back to sort of the companies that when they do go public will become mega cap companies.
And just to tag on to what Tim's saying, opportunistic or fundamentally based?
I think this is a more fundamental based market, and you look back to 2021, which felt a little bit more technical. It was like rates were zero, and so therefore equities were attractive, and you had a very different dynamic that drove that. I think this is much more of a fundamental. I think the market is looking at what the next 3 to 5 years could be.
3 to 5
potentially
years.
looking past some of the near-term volatility. And it's not saying they're ignoring downside risk.
Me getting past the gift of Apollo as a Wall Street trader and seeing what the next 3 to 5 years are going to be looking like.
But I think saying there's certain businesses right now that are very much worth investing in. There's a whole slate of new issuance that is different than the portfolio I've had in the past, and I'm going to take that opportunity to invest in it.
I am thinking, though, about those mega IPOs, be it Anthropic or OpenAI. Should we make any assumptions about their market reception just because of what happened with SpaceX?
I think, SpaceX is an N of one of itself from the fact that no one
God, the way these people fucking talk, man.
else is doing space at this scale, at this velocity.